Here we are again. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. Living by faith. What is faith? Faith is the object of something not seen, or the subject of something not seen, but what is to come. By, it's a funny thing, but a baby's kind of born with faith. He cries, and he knows if he cries, his mother's going to come stick a bottle in his mouth, or she's going to come tend him or do something for him. So his faith is in his cry, and our faith is supposed to be in our cry to God for those things that we need in our spiritual life, that we may be able to walk circumspectly to our Father which is in heaven. In the Old Testament, the law was given, and it's for cleansing, for a person to go to paradise, they had to keep the law. If they kept the law, their sin was covered by the sacrifice of bulls and goats, or a lamb, or 2 turtle doves, or a pigeon, or many things were used. The shedding of blood covered that sin, and those people went to paradise. Well, when Jesus went to the cross, he finished the law, and he now doesn't take people to paradise anymore, but straight to heaven. And by the way, he took paradise out of the heart of the earth and took it to heaven and delivered it to the throne, to his Father. And all of the Old Testament saints that are written about all through the Old Testament were delivered by Jesus Christ through the shedding of his blood, through him taking the sin of the world upon him, was able to deliver paradise and all of those believers through his shed blood in all righteousness to God. See, bulls and goats and that blood shed was a temporary cover, but Jesus came with a permanent cover through his blood. Now Paul was walking across the land. Paul the apostle, who was Saul, and when he got saved, he was walking across the land. And as he walked across the land, he had some things, different people that he met. And he went to a place called Corinth, or Galatia. We're in Galatians today, excuse me. We've passed through Corinth, and we're in Galatia today, Pontus, Galatia. He went over there, and he started talking to those Galatian people. And he told them some things. And then about 3 years later, he comes back through Galatia, and he finds out that some people had wrote them some letters or had told them some things that, and Mr. Peter, who was a great apostle of God, a great disciple, was a Jewish fellow. And Peter, one of the works that the Jews did before Jesus came, before salvation, well, they were required as Jews to be circumcised, and that was a sign that they were following God. And so Peter comes along and he says to these Galatian people, who are Gentiles, not Jews, and he said to them, why you guys, you need to be circumcised too. And Paul comes along and he rebukes Peter, and he says, look, Peter, you can't make a Jew out of a Gentile. You can't make a Gentile into a Jew into a Gentile. So he said, what you got to do is you got to go by faith, which God said, and not by works, not by sight. Now this circumcision thing was a thing by sight and a thing of the law. Now we're going to put the law away. Not that the law was bad in itself, but we're not using that particular law anymore, and we're walking by faith. Look right here, he said in verse 19 of chapter 2. He said, though I through the law am dead in the law, that I might live unto God. I'm going to get now to where I want to live. This is where I want to live. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. The Son of God gave himself for you and I today. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what kind of life you've had, you can change it all today by saying, Jesus, I am a sinner. Forgive me of my sin, come in my heart, and save my soul. And then get a Bible. If you were going to be a mechanic, would you not get a mechanic book and study mechanics? If you were going to be a pilot, would you not get some book and get some on-the-job training and learn how to fly? If you were going to learn how to roller skate, would you not get a pair of roller skates and get on them and start roller skating? Well, if you have asked you, Jesus, forgive you of your sin, get a Bible, and this is the book for the Christian. The Bible, to learn how to walk circumspectly to God and let Jesus walk through you, in you on a daily basis, and meet the needs that you have throughout your life to win others to the Lord. Paul said here, he said, I do not frustrate the grace of God, for if righteousness come by the law, then Christ is dead in vain. Now, salvation is not of works. But works is a thing of faith. Works is the result of faith. We will have works in our life if our faith is right. And we can allow Christ to live through us. This little thing popped up on my little YouTube thing the other day, or whatever it was, on my telephone. He said, what are you thinking about? Well, I just had got up and pressed that little button, and it said, what are you thinking about? I said, I'm thinking about Jesus. I'm thinking about Jesus. Jesus is the one I love. Brother Ralph Taylor yesterday, in one of his midday message, he said, I love Jesus. Did I ever meet him? No. Had I ever seen him? No. Did I ever hear what his voice sounded like? No. Did I ever know, was his hair white like wool or black like ours? What was his hair like? I don't know. I didn't see him. But I love him. Why do I love him? Because he died on the cross and shed his blood that I can go and live with him forever and be forgiven of all the sin I ever committed and have a clean slate to walk. I was 30 years old when I got a clean slate. A life of degradation that I lived, and I got a clean slate at 30. Now Paul says to these Galatians, listen to what he says in verse 1 of chapter 3. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth, crucified among you? This only would I learn of you. Receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Did you receive the Spirit of Jesus Christ by the works that you do, or did you receive it by faith? The fact of the matter is, if you receive the Spirit of God in you through Jesus Christ, you have to do it by faith. And it's by faith you're going to live. And if you've got Jesus in your heart, your faith is to bring him forward every day, that you may be the soul winner, the person you need to be. Are you so foolish, having begun in the Spirit? Are you now made perfect by the flesh? He's saying, what's happened? Well, you know what's happened across America today, and the churches today? They have got the living word, and they're using the living word rather than the King James Version Bible. It has brought them, because it left out so many thousands of words, it has brought them to salvation by works. I ask people all the time, are you going to heaven when you die? And they say, well, I'm good to my neighbor. I'm good to my brother. I don't steal, lie, or cheat. I'm good to my friends. I'm good to people. Yeah, if anybody goes, I'm going to go. Hey, you ain't going to make it. That's a watered down gospel that came out of that Living Word Bible. That came out of a Bible that's a paraphrase of the real Bible. And if you learn by it and study it and follow it, you will come down to thinking your salvation is by works. And Paul said, you're foolish, having begun by the Spirit, and now you think you're made perfect by the works you do. Have you suffered so many things in vain? If it be yet in vain? He's saying, as a church, you have suffered things. As a following God, you have suffered things. Are they in vain? They are if you're doing it by works. If you're doing that by works, there are groups of people out here today who call themselves the people that are going to inherit the earth. And these people live by works. They knock on doors, they work hard, and they preach a gospel, but not the gospel of this book. And they think that they're going to inherit the earth, or the heaven that they're going to inherit is because of their works. I got news for them. Jesus did it all. When he died on the cross, he did it all. Our works are supposed to be by faith in him. He therefore that ministereth to you the Spirit, and worketh miracles among you, is it him by works of the law, or by the beginning of faith? Listen, things are going to happen for a Christian by faith, not by the works that you do, but by faith. You will have works. If you have faith, you will have works. And your works will be godly works. For as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. Now, if you're going to live by good works, and you do a bad work, and let's say that you have a chain of good works. That chain is hooked out here to a ship on the sea. And there's a great storm comes up. And one of those links in that chain break. What happens? You lose the anchor of the ship. And there's no way to hold it. And it's just tossed to and fro. And there's no hope for it. And that's what a life of works is like. There's no hope for a man that's living by works. You have to live by faith. Now listen to this. But no man is justified by the law in the sight of God. It is evident, for the just shall live by faith. Yes, I live by faith. Do I have law in my life? Yes, I have law in my life, but it's the law of faith. And it's the law of knowledge of the book that says, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Do you know that one of our biggest problems today amongst our people in our church is bearing false witness? Speaking about something you know nothing about, that somebody else called you, Miss Tattletale called you on the phone and told you something, and you repeating it. And by the way, as you repeat it different than she said it. And then pretty soon it gets all blown out of shape. And it's a problem. It was a lot like a tattletale woman said to a preacher one time. Said, you know, I saw your truck parked down there at so-and-so's house overnight. Little did she know the truck broke down. And she started a rumor. And so he took his truck over there and parked it in front of her house and walked home and left it overnight. And came back the next day and got it. Just to show her the fact that because the truck was parked there didn't mean he was in the house with a prostitute or doing something he shouldn't be doing. And so you have to be careful what you say. Be careful what you think. Be careful how you judge something real quick and get yourself in all kinds of trouble. But listen to this. The law is not of faith, but man doeth them shall live by them. If you're going to live by the law, you're going to die by the law. If you live by the law, you're going to die and go to hell. You're not going to die and go to heaven. Because if you think you're going to heaven by works, you're sadly mistaken. So I didn't really get down into this like I wanted to today, but my time has come and gone. I have to go now. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. I'll see you